This is the Slow Wardrobe. Come and have a look. Hello, welcome to episode 101 of the Slow Wardrobe podcast. My name is Linda and I'm your host. In this episode, I will first spend a little bit of time talking about my knitting and crochet antics. I'm specifically going to talk about the idea of lining your knits. If that's something that you're interested in exploring, then keep watching and I'll be talking about it in a minute. And I've got some examples here. And that is followed by, as per usual, a big layer cake segment. It's a follow-up segment on the one that I did 2 weeks ago where I introduced new colors for the Layercake Love Dress. It's a pre-order that runs until Monday, the end of Monday, the 25th of September. So if you are watching this episode before then, don't forget the deadline. Also, in episode 100, there is a celebratory prize draw that you can find out the details of if you watch that episode. So if you're interested, that all pertains to orders that are placed before the end of Monday, the 25th of September. So have a watch of episode 100 if you want to participate and if you want to place an order. But without further ado, we are first going to have a chat about my knitting and crochet. Right, here we are, knitting and crochet. Last time I told you that all I had done was crochet like a mad woman on the jumper, the little jumper that I was working on, which has granny squares that are used not or put in not like squares but like diamonds. And I loved that idea so much. Watch previous episodes if you want to hear where I got the idea and whatever. I've repeated that a number of times now, so I don't want to go into repeats again. But the progress is here. I crocheted all of the squares together with this dark, very dark grey, almost black, marled black wool. And then of course I had all the zigzags hanging down, which you saw in the previous episode still. I then short rowed the triangles that were going down at the bottom here, and then just did a section of regular stockinette stitch, 2 rows of 1 and 1 rib, and then a very clever twisty bind off that I will put the details down below. It's the kind of bind off where you knit a stitch, then next one is a purl stitch. So with that, after that knitted stitch, you turn your needle underneath you turn the stitch really on your needle. That brings your yarn forward. You then purl the next stitch. You cast off that knit stitch. Then you turn the needle back again and you knit the neck, which brings the yarn back. And then you knit the next one. So after every stitch, you turn the needle rather than moving the yarn back and forward. So every stitch gets turned after you work it. And that puts in extra yarn and extra stretch in your cast off. It's a really nice cast off. Like I said, I'll put a link down below. I've used that cast off on the bottom and on the sleeves. I did the same thing with the sleeves, and I did a similar thing with this neckline. I knew that the neckline was going to be quite wide. That was all on purpose because I wanted to have this edging here. This is all just stockinette stitch as well. With every other row I've got a double cast off here in the middle, so I've got the stitches lying nice and flat rather than standing up. The rest I did a couple of cast offs on the shoulder to make sure that it all didn't drop out too wide, and then the last couple of rows before I did the rib, I cast on a couple of stitches again so that I would have this little rolling edge standing slightly proud with slightly more stitches here on the shoulder and whatever, so that it wouldn't end up pulling away by dropping. So the idea of the little rolled edge was actually a suggestion from one of you a couple of episodes ago, when I said, I wonder what I'll do. And somebody said, why not just stockinette stitch and let it roll? And actually that ended up being the best solution. I tried a couple of different options. I tried a 1-in-1 rib where I put the knit stitches in this color and the purl stitches in one of the colors from the work. So I got little vertical lines. That really didn't work. It was, in terms of texture, very, very clearly, obviously knitting, and just so different from the kind of texture and the rhythm that these create. It really jarred. I didn't like that. So I dropped the second color and did a 1-in-1 rib for these sections. One section, not all of them. Just did one section in a 1-in-1 rib. Really didn't like that either. Then did the stockinette stitch with what turned out to be too many stitches. So I then had to work out how many stitches to use, how many stitches to leave, so that I got a nice flat surface here. So once I worked that out, I picked up all the stitches and then just did one round all the way around, so that all my stitches were ready and they were not just picked up little loops, but they were proper stitches. And then did the short row, little triangle by triangle. I actually started with the sleeves first, because the sleeves only have 3 triangles going around. So when it comes to doing a little test, once you've got 3 triangles, you actually have a finished piece to judge and decide whether you like it or not. So that's where I did my tests. So I did the sleeves. Once I was happy with those, I did the bottom, and then last but not least, I did the whole neck piece. Now, of course, because this is crocheted, it is heavier than a piece of knitting in the same kind of weight, because of course the crochet stitches are thicker, they're more knotty rather than just the simple loops of knitting, and that's really noticeable. I haven't actually weighed it yet, but I reckon that this weighs somewhere between 500 and 600 grams, which is substantial considering that it's very boxy, it's very short, but it's also very wide, as you can see. It's really, really oversized, and then with little short sleeves. The sleeves end up being full length because of the shoulders being so relaxed. And it sits really nicely. Again, because of the whole treatment of the open neckline, I can wear it sitting a little bit further back if I want. That looks great and it hangs great. And that creates the look that I like so much, where you end up having the back of a garment being a little bit longer than the front. And that happens almost, I think my lady is, oh no, I thought she was collapsing. That happens almost like naturally with this one because of that neck treatment. And I love that look. Back slightly lower, and that kind of relaxed, roundish, balloony shape that you get there. And then a little bit shorter and cropped at the front, which of course in combination with a smock like this one, or with a play suit, the kind of garments that I'm always wearing, looks fantastic. However, it turns out that this grey yarn, even though when you touch it, it's really, really soft, I think it is either pure alpaca or it's an alpaca mix. And it has some of the guard hairs still in it, which makes for a lovely marled yarn and a beautiful marled color. But it also makes for a yarn that's ever so slightly prickly. Like I said, if you feel it like this, you go, ooh, silky and soft, but on your skin, there's just enough of the ends sticking out to feel that. And I don't like that. I am really fussy with how wool feels on my skin. So there are some very, very rustic yarns, muka yarns, which unfortunately isn't trading anymore, which did very rustic Romanian merino yarns and blends, is a yarn that is it doesn't feel very soft, and I can wear that on my skin no problem. But this, which feels a lot softer, it would irritate me. It's almost like there's some ends but not enough. I don't know what it is, but anyway, I thought, I actually wanted to be able to just throw this on over the top of a play suit, where of course my entire arms are sticking out. And then I remembered that years ago, and we really are going decades ago, I knitted a jumper, and I'm going to calculate in a minute how long ago that actually was. I knitted this jumper, and this jumper is completely embroidered with swirls that are very slightly darker green. It's like they're slightly tealy green rather against the eau de Nil of the rest of the jumper. So they're I don't even know if they're visible on the video. If not, then I'll take a close-up photograph and I'll put that up so that you can see what I'm talking about. I'll do that when I'm editing. So it's got all these swirls over the entire jumper, and then it has in Swiss darning, Swiss darning is where you follow the little V's of your knit stitches. It's got these big roses embroidered all over the jumper, front, back, sleeves, everything. And once I had finished that, I of course had the back of all my embroidery and all the little ends that I were woven in. And even though I'm pretty neat when it comes to weaving in ends, I didn't like the look of that. I didn't like the idea that by rubbing the jumper against my clothes, if I was wearing it, I would run the risk of any of those ends being undone. So I came up with the idea of lining my jumper. So I did. I lined it with a nice, thin, beautiful silk, which over the decades has been washed a number of times. So it feels a little bit more like sand-washed silk now. So I ended up sewing on the sewing machine the shape and size of the jumper as a top. And then I hand sewed, I folded in the edges, and then I hand sewed the lining onto the edge of the board of the jumper. So you can see here it's about 2 centimeters, about an inch from the edge. I've got very narrow edgings, very narrow borders on my jumper. So I literally put the lining to the edge of my regular knitting there. I did that with the sleeves as well and around the neckline. And that's held up all this time, all these decades. It's just got the very thin silk inside. And I really love that. Of course, it brings back one of the colors, so you can roll up the sleeves. And it has become, of course, a wonderful garment to wear. And also really nice and warm, because between the knitting and the fabric behind it, it's virtually windproof. So I thought, well, actually, because of course with this crochet you can actually see through it, I wouldn't mind doing something similar here. Of course, when I cover the inside, then that grey yarn won't touch my skin anymore, and I have that extra layer to play with. Then I remembered that in the same period that I made this, so maybe 1 or 2 years apart. Let me calculate when I made this. That would have been in, I think about 1989, probably 1989 or 1990. That's when I was working on this. So that is 33, 34 years ago. That's how old this jumper is. Anyway, in that same period, so the end of the 80s or early 90s, I bought a piece of cotton jersey fabric in a nice lilac color, and in exactly the same lilac color, I found a piece of sand washed silk, and I've got that here. I bought a couple of meters of each, and my idea was to make a pair of trousers, probably somewhere a cross between the current Layercake baggies and the high-lows, something in between there, with a lower crotch, maybe not quite as low as the baggies, but definitely lower than the high-lows, that were going to be made out of double fabric, with the silk on the outside and the jersey on the inside to make them more substantial, to make them harder wearing, to be able to stitch through the double layers of fabric to give them a bit of body and make them almost a little bit like cargo trousers with big pockets and big flaps on the pockets. And that was my plan with the fabric. I never executed that plan. So I still have the fabric, I still have the jersey, and I still have this. So here we are, maybe like 33 years later. And through the years, I thought at some point, because I love this so much, as you can see, it's like this slightly grayish mauve lilac-y color. And it's, of course, it's super soft. It almost feels like suede. If you're familiar with sand washed silk, and this is a satin weave sand washed silk, then the resulting fabric almost feels like suede. It's gorgeous. So whenever I was working on something, I thought, oh, I still have that sand washed silk that I can use for something, and what shall I do with it? And I never had a project where I thought, that's going to be it. Maybe once or twice I came up with an idea where I didn't actually have enough fabric to execute it, so I had to abandon it again. At some point, I have been keeping this in a bag or in a box that had some yarn in it that the moths got to. So this fabric actually has a little bit, it's just a tiny bit of moth damage, which I actually quite like, knowing me. Of course, oh, opportunity to visually mend. So there is a bit of moth damage right there, right in the middle there of the piece that I'm holding up. I hope you can see it. Tiny little holes. I can easily work around that. I don't have to include the moth-eaten bit in the jumper, although I might. I'm not sure yet. But there's plenty of fabric here. I think there's like 2 meters or so of it. So there's plenty of fabric here to line my little jumper. And that's what I'm going to do. I will, not in this episode, but I will in a future episode show you some of the progress to explain how I end up doing it. But of course the result is that every little square will have the beautiful pale lilac-y color sitting behind it. And then my other idea is to take, for every square that I have here, for every diamond that I have here, take the color that's in the middle and go with that color, go through the fabric on the inside and make a French knot on the fabric side, so that if I were to turn the whole thing inside out, this will end up looking like it's slightly quilted, because it'll have these little French knots dotted all over in the different colors of the centers that I've got here. So that's the idea at the moment. I will try that with a couple on a sleeve, for example, and see what it looks like. I may abandon it again if I decide that actually it doesn't look as nice as I was hoping it would. So it may just get a plain lining like this one has, or a slightly quilted look lining like I've just described. I don't know yet. Of course, I will bring this back in a future episode to show you what the final result is and some of my workings while I am working on it. Show you, for example, how I end up hand stitching the edges and things like that. So that's as far as I got with this baby, and showing you a little bit of inspiration as to how I came up with the idea of lining this like I did with this jumper. So 2 bits for you to think about and dream about. One is embroidering on your knits and then lining the knit. And of course, if you have an embroidery that is only for part of your knit, then you can also just hand sew a patch of fabric just behind the piece of embroidery. You don't have to line the entire thing. I did that here because everything is embroidered, but that lining can of course be just a part of your garment rather than everything, or just the front panel, for example, or even just these sleeves if you want to be able to roll them up. So the possibilities are endless, but something for you to think about and hopefully inspire you with. Or to line a garment because you can see through it. It's either because it's knitted or crocheted quite open. Imagine, for example, knitting a jumper or a cardigan with bigger needles, so you get really open stitches, and then lining that with a contrasting color fabric. So hopefully I've inspired you with that, and more about that later. The other project that I have to show you is that as soon as I finished this and it was waiting for me to take the next step here, and that was just one evening, I ended up picking up one of the little scarves, again, my scarf recipe that I'm working on. Remember this one? And the explanations I gave you with exactly how it's made, etc. I'm doing another one. I'm on my short rows again that are on this side to ensure that I have a more or less symmetrical crescent shape. I'm going to do the little tassels again as well. So this was number one. I've got two more on the go. One that's slightly heavier, and then this one, which is quite similar to the one that's over there. I'll hold it up. Here we are. I'm nearly there on the short rows. So this is starting to resemble the right kind of shape. And in terms of sizing, I am kind of spitballing it a little bit, and I base my sizing on the amount of yarn that I have. It looks very clearly, this was a 50 gram ball of single ply Art Yarns cashmere, and this was a little 50 gram ball of lace weight 100% silk dyed by Jenny from Fibre a million years ago. So I'm basing the running out of yarn on this. I know I'm going to run out of this before I run out of the cashmere, and that's why I started to do the short rows. I can then keep going after the short rows. I don't know yet whether I'll do a little bit of lace or whether I'm going to keep it very plain like I did this one. I'll see how I go with the amount of yarn that I have left. Or maybe even do a little bit of lace in the cashmere once I run out of the silk. That's another possibility. Don't quite know yet. I quite like this really little baby pink color, and featuring a little bit of that on its own along one long side of the crescent. I quite like that idea. So I'll keep you posted with that, but it feels so good to be motoring along again, because of course this is just stockinette, and so it's very, very fast knitting for me on my this is one of the pairs of silver needles that I have, and they're just lovely to work with. So it's like knitting with butter. And I also completely forgot that fairly shortly after I started this, I think I may have highlighted it in a previous episode, I started putting in a couple of cables. I put in just 2 cables, and I was going to dot the cables all over. Completely forgot about that. So it's got 2 little cable crossovers here and nothing else. So I'm going to do something with that to highlight them, maybe by doing a little bit of embroidery with my silk or something. But they're the only ones, and they're kind of sitting here in the middle of my crescent, as you can see, and no other cables inside because I forgot about them. But anyway, I'll play around with that. So that's the only other project that I have worked on since episode 100 2 weeks ago. I'm going to keep going with this. I'm going to keep going with the third one that I'm working on. And then there's a new cardigan that was just introduced. Ooh, itchy nose. Introduced by Isabel Kramer. I've forgotten what it's called. I'll put the name down here. Quite like the idea of knitting that. I'm not sure yet. I was eyeing it up because there's a cropped version of it which I like, because I can then do that in an oversized shape again, a bit like this. I don't know yet what's next on my needles. I also actually have a couple of linen gradients that I've never introduced yet. They go with a color, linen fabric color that I haven't started selling yet. So that's why I haven't introduced the yarn yet. But it would be kind of a good idea to knit a sample in that gradient so I can show it off rather than just the hanks on the website. I don't know yet. Anyway, I will keep you posted. One other thing to report that I specifically brought in is a needle that I had never tried, and I don't remember now how I came across it. It is an Addi needle, and I think it's called the Addi Unicorn. It has like a ridging, a pattern similar to the pattern on a unicorn horn on the needle, which of course slightly changes the slippiness of the needle because of the ridges, so it gives a tiny amount more grip. I saw them being sold. It's just one of the fixed ones. I think this is a 32-inch one, and it's a 3mm. I knit a lot with 3mm. Very often when a 3¼ is called for in a pattern, then I end up using a 3mm needle because I'm quite a loose knitter, so I often have to size down a little bit. So this is a 3mm needle, and I love knitting with it. It's not an expensive needle compared to some of the others, like my signatures, for example, which of course cost a lot more. It of course is not quite as pointy as the signatures, but it's not bad. So in terms of pointiness, especially for a 3mm needle, because of course the 3mm is not that thick, so that makes them a little bit more pointy naturally anyway. So all in all, it's a needle that works quite well for me, and I definitely recommend it. I like the cable on it as well. It's slightly on the stiffish side, but not too bad. It's a nice pink color. So yeah, definitely recommend these. Give them a go. I'm not sure what they're like in the bigger sizes. Like I said, I've only tried the 3mm, but I would have thought that at least the 3¼ will be nice to knit with as well. Yeah, first Addi ever that I can get away with, because in general I'm not an Addi fan. They're just not pointy enough for me, but this one, thumbs up. Okay, that's it for the knitting and crochet section this time. Let's get on with it, because it's going to be a long episode. I'm very aware of that. Plenty of layer cake styling ideas and color combinations to come. Here's Layercake Love Dresses. Enjoy. So here we are, back again with round 2. Did you see me miss my pockets? Round 2 of the new love dress colors, styled with hopefully inspiring and surprising in some case other colors and other garments from the Layercake collection. I'm starting here wearing the petite love dress, which is why those pockets are so high on me. Like I said in the last episode, in episode 100, on a petite dress, the pockets hit me on my waist. That's partially because of my height. So if you are a petite person, those pockets will hit you on your hips, because of course the distance between my shoulders and my waist is a little bit bigger because of my extra height. So petite dress, this is the color Emerald, and I'm wearing it over the top of a long tulip dress in blood orange, and blood orange and green, this emerald green, go beautifully together. And it's maybe not a color combination that you would grab, so I'm gonna keep surprising you, hopefully with some other colors, and then add an accessory to see what has inspired this combination, and to show you how an accessory can pull a very wide combination of colors together by combining them in one shawl in this case. Of course, if you are a knitter or crocheter or sewer even, then of course it's something that you can do with the accessories you make. If you wear a wide variety of colors together, then you can pull a whole outfit that contains of those colors together with one accessory. I'll show you by adding, I think it's a smock to this outfit. So I've added the size 2 magenta smock over the top of this size 1 petite love dress, and wearing a size 2 long tulip dress underneath. So this is the magenta worn with emerald over the top of blood orange. And I'm trying to click again with my left hand because the thumb, the RSI, despite the fact that I've been crocheting like mad, is still recovering. So rather than not crochet at all, I thought if I can manage to relax the way I crochet instead, then that recovery can take place and I can still keep crocheting and knitting. So that's what I've been doing. It seems to be working. So I'm going to keep clicking my fingers if I can. If it starts to hurt, then I might move to my other hand again, but just explain to you what I'm doing if I'm fiddling with my hands. Anyway, so let me add an accessory to this. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to say is that I love that even though I'm wearing a size 2 smock, which is longer than the size 1 smocks, and a size 1 petite love dress, you still get a little bit of the edging of the dress sticking out from under the smock. I love that because, of course, it just adds to the lovely color combination. But let me pull this all together now with an accessory. So this is the Pressed Flower Shawl by Amy Christoffers. And because it has the bright orange and bright pink in it, I think it is lovely for pulling an outfit like this together, even though there is no green in the shawl. The green then ends up being the accent color, funnily enough, in this whole outfit, even though there are brighter colors in it. But because those brighter colors are picked up by the shawl and the green is not, the green becomes the accent. I love playing with color like that, and I hope I'm conveying to you what I mean with it. So I'm going to change my shoes because somehow these shoes, they're Sabas and they are lovely. They're super comfy. They're like slippers, really. I have a slipper version of these shoes as well, but I don't think they look great with this outfit. I think they go better with things like baggies and whatever. So let me show you the difference of the impact of the shoes. And because I'm just going to go back to my trusted little ballerinas, and because they are a dark color, they kind of pick up on the flowers in the shawl. So again, it's another way of pulling the whole outfit together. Look at the difference. There they are. So these are black ballerinas. I'll put the brand down below. It's E. Porcelli. It's a tiny, tiny company who that makes like professional dancer shoes, like the they're called spitzes in Dutch. I don't know what they're called. I'll put it down here. But the shoes that ballerinas dance on when they stand on their tippy toes. Points. Are they called points? They're dancing on their points. Anyway, this same company makes ballerinas shoes for both inside, and then they're also making them for outside wear. And they just have this very thin leather sole that has an incredible lifespan. I've had these for years. I've scrambled over rocks in Croatia with them, and they just last and last. These are black ones. I think I must have got them in 5 or 6 different colors by now. I think they are the best ballerinas in the world because they are so incredibly long wearing and they are super comfy, of course. So I'll put down a website as well where you can order them. They come from a website in Europe. The tiny little company, I think it's based in the basement of the Opera House in one of the big Italian cities, Milan. And they are just wonderful. So just a bit of a plug for the shoes. I was recently asked about the shoes by a customer, so I thought more of you may be interested. That's what they are, and I love them to bits. Anyway, moving on, I'm going to remove the orange and add more pink to create an outfit that is simpler in color, but still with nice contrast. Here it comes. Here are my own magenta baggies. So they've been worn and washed for months. And as you can see, there's absolutely no color difference, or virtually, I can't see any color difference. No, there's no color difference between the baggies and the smock. Smock is new and never been washed. Baggies have been washed loads. And this is how I wanted to compare the outfit to the previous one. And just by replacing the orange for more magenta, it's now just the two colors in the outfit. It looks really interesting. It looks exciting. The shapes are being emphasized. You get that little bit, that little line of green coming back in the middle of the bottom half of the outfit without that cutting me in any way. So it's not kind of waist height. I'm not being cut in half. So it's a really nice way to add some color interest and another element that kind of breaks up the straight lines and just emphasizes that beautiful round line and the beautiful round shape of the smock. So the dress is a size 1 petite, the smock is a size 2, which is very roomy on me, but I like that because of the extra space it gives me around my hips. So for my bust, I could go down to a size 1. And I think I probably have a size 1 coming up at some point. So you'll be able to see then that the bust is still good. But because of my bum having grown, it then ends up being a bit more fitted around my bum. And I like it better if it's all kind of loose. I don't want it sticking anywhere on me and making me all self-conscious about the size of my hips. So just the two colors. I'm now going to calm down those colors because these colors, of course, are very bright and bright is not for everyone. So let's start toning it down and go to a different color combination, but still with the emerald as the centerpiece. So these are the charcoal baggies in the regular length, so they're cropped on me. And I just wanted to show you how good a cropped trouser length looks as well in combination with the other parts of this outfit. So step 1, going to the gray of the baggies, and step 2, I will replace the smock with a different color as well. Here it comes. Magpie tulip dress in a size 2 regular. So of course it completely covers the petite length of the emerald dress. The other thing that it does though, I mean, look at that. The emerald is being pulled towards the blue spectrum because of the blue in Magpie. I also think that these two colors are stunning together, and you can see that with a regular length dress you can still see the baggies peeping out. So if you normally wear regular length dresses and the regular length of the baggies, then you still have a bit of baggy peeping out underneath your dress, because of course the baggie will be full length on you, and then you get the dress just sitting just because above the baggy pockets at the bottom. I think it's a really nice combination. And then of course I can pull that shawl back in with its wild colors, but also with the flowers that have been knitted in that very dark blue color, which should pick up on the blue in the Magpie. Let's try. There's the pressed flower shawl back again, this time worn a little bit closer around my neck, a bit more autumnal if you like. And you can see those bright colors coming out again, but more specifically the blue of the flowers picking up on the blue in the dress. Lovely outfit together like that, and not quite as loud as what I had on before. Of course, you can wear this then with the magenta baggies underneath to bring one of those bright colors back, or even with the long dress. But a pair of trousers is probably more practical than wearing 3 dresses over the top of each other. However, it can be done, and it looks great. So the other thing that I wanted to show with the rest of this outfit is a pair of the cotton cocoon baggies, the slate baggies, as an alternative to the dark grey linen baggies. Let me grab them and put them on and just show you the difference. So this is with the linen baggies in the regular length. And these are the cotton, the organic cotton stretchy jersey baggies in the regular length as well. And as you can see, of course, they don't have the bottom pockets that the linen ones have. The linen ones have those bottom pockets, partially because they're great as ball holders when you're knitting, so that your ball doesn't roll away. But they also really change the way the trousers move when you walk by putting some extra weight there, and I love the effect of that. With the jersey baggies. That is not quite as important. They're more for snuggling around, for lounging, and to create a different silhouette when you wear them underneath an outfit like this. So it gives a nice and interesting alternative, slightly simpler, but still really effective to elongate that silhouette if you want it. So we're going to move on now to the next color of the love dresses, Mist. Here it comes. The Mist, also still in the petite, miss my pockets again, also still in the petite length, and worn with the slate baggies in the regular length. Lovely, simple, straightforward, nice little piece of silver jewelry or any kind of, focal point here would be nice, or a little scarfy. But I have found another one of my knitted projects, one of my patterns called the Double Dutch, that has got a bunch of different colors in it as well. And using that again as inspiration for combining different colored garments with this dress. Let me grab the shawl to start with. Here it is. The Double Dutch is a little shawlette that is really knitted double. So it's got two completely different sides. You knit one side at a time. You knit it really like a triangular shawl. So you knit from the bottom down and out, and then with the last set of the little holes, by folding that along that line just after making the little eyelets, you end up creating a picot edge in that same contrast color, and then you basically knit the other half of the shawl by decreasing, and then you graft the top edges together. That's how it's made in terms of construction. On one side it's got these eyelet rows in the contrasting color, and on the other side it's got the same colors that that is knitted in the wide stripes on the one side, but knitted in narrower stripes and then without that contrast, so it creates a different look altogether. These were colors that were inspired, the color combination was inspired by the large purple check fabric that we did last year. And now I'm going to use those colors as an inspiration for pulling another couple of colors around this lovely Mist dress. Because of course the light color, it's a very, very, very light white, gray, light white, a very light gray picks up on the light color in the dress. Let me grab some other colors that go with it, inspired by this shawl. A cerulean tulip dress in a size 2 regular, worn over the top of the love dress. Inspired, of course, by the bright blue in the little shawl, in the shawlette. If you think, well, I like combining the colors, but I really don't want to lose that much of the color of the dress, then of course we can turn it around. That wasn't very elegantly phrased, saying turn it around, as if I was going to wear the dress backwards. What of course I meant with turn it around was turn around the sequence in which I put on the dresses, i.e. wear the bright cerulean tulip dress underneath the Mist love dress. Still tiny little bit of blue here, and then you get the blue getting slightly bunched, of course, by the Mist dress coming in at the bottom. So then the tulip shape of the regular dress, of course, gets nipped before it's quite as narrow at the bottom, and that creates a couple of little folds. I love that. It makes it look kind of like a flippy skirt a little bit, and really playful. It's a properly layered outfit, and that's emphasized by those little folds at the bottom. The whole thing is not meant to look static and straight and tight and whatever. It's all kind of loose and flowy. And then, of course, there's still the dark grey of the slate cotton baggies underneath. And those cotton baggies to wear as an alternative to tights or leggings in the winter underneath your linen layer cakes. I cannot recommend them highly enough. They are so soft and comfortable. And of course, there's still the original idea that you wear those cocoons, those cotton layers at home to lounge in, then you throw over one or two of your linen layer cakes in the winter to go out, and there's no need to change out of your cotton layer cakes, out of your cocoons. They can stay on underneath, and they make a pretty pairing, and they're just the most comfortable thing to wear because they're stretchy. It's an extra layer. So those of you who love wearing thermal underwear, consider wearing the cocoons, whether it's the anytime tops or the baggies, underneath your linen or wool layer cakes in winter. Perfect combination. Still, moving on, I want to add another color. So I'm going to drop these cocoon baggies and swap them for a brighter color to pick up something else that's in the shawl. Here it comes. Remember the grape herringbone baggies that I'm wearing here that I wore last week with the Looking for Lilac Love Dress that I'm going to show to you in a minute, to really color coordinate an outfit and just have the color of the purple represented in a different garment in a slightly different way because of the herringbone. Here, the purple, of course, picks up on the purple in the little shawlette, and then the shawlette pulls together the whole outfit. Remember that I've said that in the past. You pick up color, other parts of the color palette of what you're wearing that is further away from your face, and then by bringing those colors back, either this way or this way, further up in your outfit, it pulls the whole outfit together, even if those colors are very disparate and very contrasting in terms of color spectrum. So I really like playing with color this way, and I hope that inspires you as well. What I'm going to do now is a little bit like what I did with that first outfit, is say, well, let's bring this back to more of a two-tone outfit, like I did with the magenta and the emerald. I'm now going to do with mist and the cerulean underneath. Let me show you what I mean. These were the steel herringbone baggies that I wore last episode, 2 weeks ago, in the small, long size. So the small size of the baggies can be comfortably worn with a bum that is up to a size 20 UK. So that is like a size 16 or 18 US. Check the fit guide on the pages to see waist size, hip size, length, etc. on any of the garment. The fit guide you can find underneath the product description, the details of the product. You scroll down and then you see a couple of tabs in explanation about our order system, with whether things are in stock or whether they need to be made for you and how you can see that. And then a fit guide with garment size details, so you can see there whether any of the layer cakes will fit you and how it will fit you by comparing the garment measurements to your own measurements and potentially to other garments that you already own. So I always wear the baggies in the large size. I love wearing them oversized, but if you like to create more of an elongated silhouette, then consider the small baggies after checking that they will fit you. And there's going to be a lot more smooth fabric, as you can see. It's still roomy enough around my hips, but not as folded as the big size are. And you may prefer that silhouette. So that's a little bit about the baggies, but the main point here was to show you having the mist, the light grey, repeated underneath the cerulean dress to create an outfit in two colors only. And then I can remove this and have a calmer look. And then again, you can bring back some jewelry or not. It looks great without jewelry as well. or a different colorway for a knitted or crocheted accessory. Moving on, I'm going to lose the cerulean lose the cerulean and play with the next color of dress, which is the Looking for Lilac. Here it comes. Looking for Lilac Love Dress in the long length, all the way down almost to my ankles. So this is for the tall girls with the small, long herringbone baggies underneath in steel. And of course, that is such a neutral color compared to the purple. The purple also has a gray, and it's a cross weave with gray, which of course tones down the purple a little bit and then ties it nicely to the gray, the silvery gray that's in the steel herringbone baggies. These kind of neutral colors I always really recommend because they are so lovely to wear in combination with some of the brighter colors and just create a backdrop, create a bit of a frame for the outfit and not dominate and hardly even participate. They participate in the sense of creating a silhouette, but the color of the outfit is dominated by that lovely Looking for Lilac purple. That's what draws the eye. And there's just an extra layer in the shape of the baggies underneath to keep you nice and warm, keep you toasty, contribute to the silhouette, but without really playing a big part in the look of the silhouette. I'm going to add to this in this neutral palette, staying with the grays initially, and then create some contrast. Let's bring in some more gray first. Here is a size 1 tabard in the charcoal crossweave. It's one of the items that's on sale. I think I've got a whole bunch of size 1s, either tabards or smocks or maybe both. Have a look at the sale page if you're a size 1 and you should find some charcoal tunics there. And this is not only making a lovely outfit with the purple and toning that down a little bit, but also it is going to illustrate my point about the fit of the tabard on me at the moment. In terms of bust, I can just about carry off a size 1 still. It's pretty fitted, but you know, my boobs are not being flattened. It doesn't catch anywhere on my back. It's still nice there, but the point that I was making about my hips. So I don't know whether you can see it. I hope you can see it, but my hip, which is here, my hips are relatively high. When I carry this much overweight, my hips are sitting relatively high, kind of literally really above my bum. And because of that, and of course then the elastic nips in, so that really accentuates them. And with the layer cakes, that just skims over. So that's how you end up losing those lumps and bumps. But if you then close to the garment being fitted, when you move, the fabric then ends up catching a little bit on my hip and just accentuating the width of my hips there, which I don't like. And that's why I then always say, just size up. If we need to nip things in at the top because you're worried about them slipping off your shoulders, we can do that. Get in touch if that's something that you believe you need, or if you're not sure, we can discuss it. We can try different things out. You won't end up with a selection of clothes that you don't like. I always try to take care of that as best I can. Read the fit guide, check the sizing is what I always shout at people. If there is any way I can make that more clear on the website, I will try and do that. With new customers coming in, they often don't realize that those fit guides are there. So I try and shout it from the rooftops wherever I can. Anyway, point made. When you're on the cusp of those sizes, you may be better off sizing up than sizing down, depending on what the measurements of the rest of your body are. Nice gray here. And then, of course, I could add more gray by putting one of the cocoon tops underneath. That original point that I made is like wearing a cocoon set at home, then throwing on some layer cakes. Let me grab an anytime top to wear underneath this to illustrate exactly what I'm talking about. The first thing I want to show you here is how the nice long narrow sleeves of the anytime top form another way of bringing back a color in the outfit. This is the gray anytime top, which is in terms of color virtually identical, because there's a hint of brown in that gray, virtually identical in how the color looks to the steel herringbone baggies. So it brings that pale silvery gray back up higher on in the outfit, and having those narrow sleeves peep out from those generous dolman sleeves of the dress is a lovely way to create an outfit. Back to my original point though, about the cocoon sets and the way you can just wear a cocoon set at home and then throw over a linen layer cake to go out. These baggies could have easily been a pair of the grey cotton baggies rather than the linen ones, but of course this set can be worn as a cocoon set as well. So I will show you by taking off the dress what that looks like, and again kind of repeating the point that I made about wearing the long small baggies for a bum up to a size 20. You don't always have to go to the large. Of course you can. Same goes for the cocoon ones, for the cotton ones, but you can size down and go for the small one instead. So cocoon set with herringbone trousers, the herringbone linen I mean, lovely and supple and very, very forgiving and very soft as well to wear, or with the cocoon baggies instead. And then instead of a dress, if it's not quite as cold, of course I can just throw on one of the tunics. Let me quickly bring that size 1 tabard in the charcoal cross back to show you how that combines with this outfit. If this is your cocoon, then you can just throw on that tunic when you go out. Here it is back again. See what I mean? Just throwing on that tunic and we've got a complete outfit again. Not quite as warm as with that long sleeved dress. It's just sleeveless tunic. Perfect, especially for autumn time. And the other thing to highlight here is that by playing with different sizes on your cocoons and your linens, you don't have to worry about them not fitting properly underneath each other. So this is a size 1 tabard, and I'm wearing it over the top of a size 2 anytime top. So I could size it down with my anytime top and go to a size 0 and make it look really fitted if I wanted it to, but you don't have to do that. I mean, look, they don't bunch, they don't look like I'm wearing a top that is too large underneath a tunic that is too small. The armholes and the dolman sleeves take care of all of that. So you really can play with your layer cake sizes. So you can size up for your cocoons if you like to, and then wear your regular size linen over the top and it'll still look great. The cocoons don't have to be sized down and fitted to look good. It all depends on what silhouette you're trying to achieve and what you're most comfortable in. And of course you can do both. You can have some tops that are smaller and some tops that are bigger. Then you can even wear those over the top of each other. The combinations are endless, and that's what I'm trying to offer you, to give you lots of different options in terms of sizing, in terms of proportions, to play with and have fun with in your wardrobe. Well, I promised that with that purple, I was going to go bright next. So let's go there. Starting here with bringing the bitter lime in together next to the looking for lilac. Don't worry, we're going to go brighter, but this is a first step. Very exciting color combination, the bitter lime against the looking for lilac. They really zing together, those two. They make each other, they lift each other up, they make each other very happy. And I am going to add more bitter lime now by adding a dress to this one. So very kind of cool, calm and collected by just having that hint of color at the bottom. These are the palazzos rather than baggies. I tend to show a lot of baggies. I'm very aware of it. Not really fair. The palazzos are really, really suitable and look great to be worn underneath the dresses. And let me bring in some more bitter lime to show you what I mean with those two playing together. If you want to keep it relatively calm and like to have that hint of color there right at the bottom as a signature of your outfit, then there it is. But if you think, no, bring it on with the bitter lime and the purple, I'll have more of that, then here it comes. Bitter lime tulip dress in a size 2 petite. The 2 petite, of course, falls slightly longer on me than the 1 petite, even though the dress length is the same, but there's more fabric to go around. So there's not as much kind of needed to just cover my body. So it then becomes a little bit more relaxed and a bit more of it can hang down. But here is bitter lime right next to my face and right next to the purple of the Looking for Lilac. This is a tulip dress, and I've put on the tulip dress because that's what I've just got, part of the standard lineup that I've got hanging around. But if you prefer a tunic, either a tabard or a smock, then of course those are available as well in the bitter lime. They're part of the My Choice offering, the MC, that gives you the choice of all of the fabrics in the heavier linen that you can choose for one of the tunics, and will make it especially for you. It's got a slightly higher price tag because we don't make it as part of our regular lineup, so we make that especially for you as a single one-off, and that explains the price difference. But if it is what you're looking for, then of course it's more than worth it. So it is an option if you're very discerning about how you combine your colors and say, yeah, I like this, but not as a dress. I want it as one of the tunics. Then you can. Well, I think I can brighten this up even further. I'm going to keep these on. I'm going to add some chartreuse. Here it comes. Chartreuse short duster with that purple peeping out at the sleeves, with the bitter lime, and then with the purple coming back again at the bottom of the outfit. I think it's a stunning color combination. It's an exciting combination of colors. As you can see, the one size fits all duster, lovely silhouette in combination with the rest of this outfit. What would happen if I now change the color of the dress? I can keep everything the same. I'm going to change the color of the dress. I hope to surprise you with this next one. For all of you who thought, she's going to go for Atlantic, isn't she? No, she's not. I went for the large new check, the new large check, however I call it. I call it something different everywhere, I think. But look at what you can do with something like this. I mean, there is no hint of bitter lime or chartreuse anywhere to be found in this dress yet. It just goes. They all go. I always say, you always grab blind, almost grab blind in your wardrobe, and you will end up being able to put an outfit together that looks wonderful together with really exciting color combinations. And that, of course, has to do a lot with the shaping and the proportions of the outfits. So here it is. I'll put this out of the picture because it kind of distracts because it's so bright. I love this together. Now, of course, like I said, this can be a tunic. It doesn't have to be a dress. If you are that way inclined and you like the idea of wearing a love dress or a tulip dress as an alternative to the tunics, then one of the things you can do as well is size up on purpose, because the armholes of the tulip dresses, as you know, are slightly less deep than those of the tunics. So if to be wearing that over the top of your other layer cakes becomes too tight, then size up the way that I've done, because this is a size 1 love dress in the regular length, and then a size 2 tulip dress over the top in the size 2 petite. And I'm wearing a pair of the palazzos in the large long. Let's keep playing. I'm gonna dial back the color now on this outfit and kind of neutralize the other garments around the large check dress. So in the last episode, I had the silvery colored steel herringbone baggies underneath this dress because I wanted the dress to do all the talking. Now I have put a pair of black baggies underneath, and those could have been a black pair of palazzos, but the baggies were what I had in this nice long length, so I want to show you those. And what I want to show with that is how different the impact is when the color, even though still neutral, is stronger. It has more of an impact on what the dress looks like, and it picks up more on the darker squares in the outfit than it does in the dress, than it would do if I would have the lighter baggies picking up on the lighter squares. So, darker colors. Let's add a darker tunic or dress over the top of this as well to drive the point home even further. And what I'll grab is that magpie dress, because there's magpie in this dress, and the tulip dress in the magpie worn as a tunic over the top picks up on that. Here it comes. Magpie tulip dress, size 2 regular, and that's why it just about covers the size 1 regular love dress, because of course the 2 regular a bit looser, so it hangs a little bit longer, just about covers the bottom of the love dress in the size 1. If this was a size 1 tulip dress, then they would be virtually the same length. The other thing that you can see is that the magpie really is a little bit lighter because it's a blue-black cross weave than the black. So there's still a little bit of contrast further down in the outfit, but you can see the magpie back in some of the squares on the dress. It's a really nice combination. If tulip dresses over love dresses are not your bag, then let me swap this dress for one of the tunics. I think I've got a black smock. Let me check. A smock in black and the baggies in black, and then that new bright check in between. Now this silhouette is impacted a little bit by the size of the smock. This smock is a size 3 petite. So it's very oversized in terms of circumference, and it's slightly shorter in terms of proportion. But like I said, like I always say, you can upsize or downsize your layer cakes as long as you can fit into them. But you can upsize them and they just hang and feel and sit comfortably. If this were my own smock and I wanted to wear this day in and day out, what I would probably do is nip it in a little bit at the back. So the back seam, of course, because it's got a seam at the center back, you can undo that and then just nip it in and sew a little wedge about 4 or 5 inches long, which just pulls the shoulder bands together, the shoulder straps together a little bit more, so that if I start putting my phone in my pocket, I run the risk of this shoulder slipping a little bit because of the width, but I can completely get rid of that by nipping in the back seam. If that's something that you want us to do for you, we can do that. Of course, there's a charge for it because it takes time. We unpick the label, we unpick all the seams, and we remake it with a slightly narrower back. So once it's finished, you can't really see that anything has changed. It really still looks like a standard layer cake. So if you are interested in that, just give me a shout. Meanwhile though, you can see what the tunic does instead of the dress to the look of the love dress, and bringing back the large check very clearly in the lovely arch of the smock. So moving on to the last color of the lineup of dresses this time at this offer, and that's of course the Atlantic Let me go put it on. This outfit really shows the soft teal that Atlantic is, nicely framed by the black. Like I said, I just wanted to change the color of the dress so that you get to see the Atlantic worn with a calm and plainer, more neutral palette. Still dramatic though, of course, it being black, and I could change this all to grays and have the grey trousers, either baggies in the charcoal crossweave or the slate grey, for example, and same with the tunic. But I've gone for the black because I already had that, of course, with the large nude check, and I don't really show black that often, to be honest. So if you like seeing the black a bit more, let me know and I will try and do that. I will take off the smock and then show you again the impact of the black baggies, but just having a set of black baggies in combination with the dress, beautifully carrying the dress and presenting that lovely soft teal with the backdrop of the black baggies. Let's play with some color again. Here we go. This is a Rivulet playsuit. Rivulet, one of our very popular summer colors, and Atlantic go beautifully together. So if you have one of these, the Rivulet playsuits, they wear wonderfully with the Atlantic, like you see. Wonderful combination, very calm, very oceanic, for want of a better word. Very sea and water-like in combination. And of course you can wear that playsuit underneath the dress or over the top of it if you want the lighter color of the the lighter color of the Rivulet to dominate the outfit. And then you'll still have the warmth of the dress going pretty much the full length of the playsuit on the inside. So we're nearly there. I'm going to add one more color to this to create a colorful outfit that has the oceanic and the Rivulet as a backdrop. Here we go. Of course, it had to be done. A small check, another tulip dress in a size 2 regular, over the top of my size 1 regular love dress. Of course, this could be a tunic, it could be a pair of baggies. They just go really, really nicely together. In this case, I put it over the Rivulet playsuit. So the Rivulet playsuit is the underpiece, then over the top of that, the dress, and over the top, the love dress, and over the top of that, the tulip dress. I hope I've inspired you again. Any questions, any comments, let me know and I will try to answer, and I will see you again soon.